Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fox Den. Now, I'm not going to read my own title. Let's just say it's pretty obvious by the thumbnail picture, but I'll give you credit if you can read binary. Now, because I know a certain other what if I'm friends with will be mad at me if I don't put any secrets down. I don't have any written for the story. However, I will put some random binary in the comments later on. So keep a lookout for that, everyone. Now then, welcome to the story of... I'm not going to say, but it's pretty obvious. Now then, we open up to where, well, in a galaxy, or more likely, a different universe. To a Necron Lord. Yeah, that's pretty obvious, right? A Necron Lord named Izu Taliban. Izu Tala. Izu Tala is, and his group, his kingdom, quote unquote, because each Necron dynasty, is currently on retreat from, well, the Eldari, with the Imperium of Man coming from their left and the Eldari from their right. The only way they can go is either forward, straight in between the two, or retreat back into their monolith. Izu issues the order to retreat back into the monolith, to which they do. Thanks to the help of Necronian and Eldarian technology, they managed to escape, using a mix of both. However, once they were doing warp travel, something goes wrong, and they're transported to a different universe. This being, well, the My Hero universe. But it's not the My Hero universe yet. They get transported to Japan. During 1945, during World War II, they crash land, and Japan surrenders early due to nuclear fallout, even though America has not nuked them yet. Due to the monolith and the gauze weapons, you Warhammer fans, you can correct me on this in the comments. I believe the gauze weapons do cause a little bit of radiation. So I'm treating the monolith as some sort of giant nuclear power source. So it lands and it cracks. Crash lands into where UA will be founded and cracks, causing massive amount of radiation to pour into the land, which mutates human cells, causing the birth of quirks. The Necrons in this story, in my story, this what if, is kind of the originator of the quirks, due to the high level of radiation they give off. Now then, we fast forward a couple decades or so to the year of, well, we fast forward a century and a couple decades to the year of 2016. Because My Hero is not really a definite time, I decided, let's just have the story take place in 2016. Because, funny, haha. So, as this, we cut over to Izu, who is the only Necron in his dynasty to awaken. The Lord awakens first. You can correct me down below in the comments if you want, but this is how I'm doing it, because it's fun. It's funny. But yeah, Izu's the first one to awaken, and so he decides not to wait for at least a couple of his soldiers to awaken, but he decides to investigate this new land. Now, over the years, Nezu and a lot of other scientific pro-heroes that have formed and risen up and fallen has been keeping an eye on this temple, they call it. They don't know what it is, and there's not much written about it. But they do know it's most likely the cause of quirks. So, they usually have security around. The one thing they don't know, though, is how to get in. They tried everything. Some even came to the conclusion that they're aliens. Which, I mean, they're not wrong. The necrons are technically aliens, but also undead robots. They're not wrong. Izu decides to go into his spare room and transfer his consciousness to a different body, which so happens to be their quote-unquote female model, being, as you can see in picture. Now, here's a little story about Izu's dynasty. Most of his people are high-ranking warriors, so they have a lot of free will. Because Izu does not believe in subjugation. So he does that. He gives his followers free will. To an extent, of course, but yeah. After his consciousness was transferred over to this new body, the female vassal, or her original body, she decides to go to the entrance of her monolith and can hear people outside talking. She takes a little peek with some camera-like systems attached to the monolith, which, come on, they have some sort of surveillance system so that thing can fucking move it around. She opens up one of the cams and sees that it's humans. But they're not dressed like the Imperium. But she doesn't know that, so she equips... you guys are Warhammer fans are gonna kill me for this! Fuck it, I'm just gonna say she equips a gauze pistol she has next to her. A gauze rifle she had. And opens the entrance and hides. Knowing full well if a human gets too far in, if anyone besides a necron gets too far into her monolith, some of her soldiers will awaken. So as to this two pro heroes, well, actually, yeah, two pro heroes, one being a pro hero that's been surfaced for years and recently went into retirement, being Nana Shimura, and a pro hero who will be later known as the #1 villain, All for One. Yes, I'm being good guy All for One because I had an idea. Oh, because technically, Necrons are skeletons, and once they die, they can choose when they can come back, as long as their pharaoh is alive. So Izu waits and waits for them to go deeper into the tomb. As they reach their main barracks, you can say, as suddenly, all Nana Shimura sees, because she is the one who entered and All for One is staying behind to find treasure, is suddenly lit up. Suddenly the room lights up in this neon green. She's taken aback by this, thinking to herself, maybe this place is not so abandoned. As she proceeds to get shot in the back of the head. All for One hears this and runs the fuck away. But before he does that, the monolith shuts on him. The door shuts on him. as Izu, along with two handpicked soldiers, are just outside, waiting. They've knocked out all for one. The soldiers inside received orders to knock out the other human for questioning. They do that, and they maneuver, but then one of the torturers then wake him up a few days later to torture information about him. Meanwhile, Izu and her personal guards, are guarding the entrance just in case more humans come to try to find their missing comrade. Which they do, being All Might. However, when All Might was reaching it, the door opens for him, which he found very weird. As he enters and sees an All for One crying over the body of Nana, All Might, being the emotional wreck he is, and idiot he is, punches All for One and deems him a villain for killing his sister. No, I'm just gonna say this. His brother's niece, his own grand niece. All for One is shocked by this and simply says, "Maybe I am a villain. Thank you, All Might." As he just disappears, leaving All Might there, crying over Nana, and decides to escort her body, over to Nezu. And don't worry about that. As stuff would go on into My Hero canon from there on out, with Bakugo as taking the place of Deku in this story. As everything would start maneuvering more and more towards canon, the heroes notice that civilians and heroes and even some villains and vigilantes have gone missing, only for their body to be found later near the monolith under UA. Nezu assumes that whatever All for One did to Nana must have angered the spirit, some sort of revengeful spirit in the pyramid, in the tomb. Now it's this hunting us. Hunting people. But in actuality, Izu is just trying to grow her numbers. Which she does. By a lot. As time will go on, further and further, we reach the time of canon My Hero, aka the start of UA, after the 9 months training. All their stuff would happen like normal. However, a new idol appears. Yes, I'm doing this because I'm borrowing from SingStorm, named Catherine. As it's a robotic girl, and she's labeled the first robotic AI idol. First self-aware robotic idol. And so that will go on. And stuff like that. Nezu would find this peculiar, with her color scheme being the same as the monolith. Thinking that no way. The tomb doesn't have AI. No, it doesn't have these sentient robots that are slowly learning from us. I'm sure. Totally. It's not like they're going to come up back to bite us since UA is made from their technology. Sure, totally. Nezu then thinks, we're totally fucked if all that's true. Yeah, they can do that. And I think, no, I'm going to do this. Everything fast forwards over to the USJ. They go in like can, Aizawa getting beat up the hell and back. However, right when the Nomus appeared, a green Eldarian portal shows up shows up in the middle. Bean walks out. Catherine, with a couple of her soldiers, or Izu, walking out with a couple of her soldiers, all of them holding Gauss weapons and firing on both the pro heroes who arrived earlier, as well as the villains in the Nomu, killing most of the villains in the Nomu, and injuring quite a bit of the heroes, as they simply leave. No questions. And that's how I'm going to end it off. Because you guys can correct me down below, and if you want me to do a redo of this I've spent more time getting researching about the Necrons and reading about the Necrons and getting help from one of my friends that know the Necrons and runs a Necron army. Tell me down below. However, I'll see you guys next time. This has been Fox, and I'll see you all later. And sorry if this is short. I have no motivation to do stuff right now. Well, actually, I have motivation, I don't know, I'm weird right now.